everyone, it's Mr. Boober here, and welcome to episode 3 of my Road to Legend Rank series for Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Now you guys might be wondering why I decided to title this video the 4th Rate Racer, and it's a pretty funny backstory on this one. I actually managed to get 4th place in all 3 of my races inside this video. No joke either. Like, I literally straight up back-to-back got 4th place in all 3 of my races inside this video, which I did not even find out until I was actually editing it, so that's kind of why I came up with the name of 4th Rate Racer to kind of fit with the theme of the video, since I thought it was pretty funny, honestly. But that's not the only reason why I decided to title the video that. The other reason why I decided to title the video this title is because of the upcoming discussions that are happening inside the kart racing community about Kirby Air Riders releasing, and as you guys already know, once a new game inside the same genre releases as the current game that's out right now, that current game starts to kind of die off and a lot of the tourists start to go towards that new game inside the genre. Like, it's literally just human nature 101. Once you see that new shiny thing appear in front of your face, you want to go and mess around with that and see what it is all about and just forget about that old piece of junk that you have inside of your hand that probably doesn't even work anymore. Alright, let me stop yapping about some random stuff, but what I'm essentially saying is that because Kirby Air Riders is getting a lot more closer to releasing, and since a lot of people who have a Switch 2 had a chance to actually play the network test for that game, a lot of the casuals and tourists seem to already have their mindset on that game, more so than Sonic Racing Crossworlds right now. And if you haven't been paying attention for the past few months or so, people are already ready to call Kirby Air Riders the Crossworlds Killer, which is absolutely insane to me. I mean, the game isn't even out yet, and people are already saying that that game is gonna like absolutely kill and take all the player numbers from Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which, you know, is kind of a little bit funny, but at the same time does actually make me kind of a little bit worried for Air Riders in general. And it's not because I think that the game is gonna suck on release or anything. For what I've seen inside the gameplay trailers, that game looks freaking amazing, man, and 2 is being made by Masahiro Sakurai, and, you know, Sakurai is just a very good game developer in general, so I think that the game is going to be in good hands. What actually just makes me worried about the game is this unnecessary hype for people to just say that the game is going to be the Crossworlds Killer. And for any of you guys who do not know, I absolutely hate any single type of player base or community that tries to hype up a game like that, because any single time that people hype up a game like that, saying that game A is going to be the killer of game B, what ends up happening is that game A comes out and then people are just disappointed with that game, and then the game dies off very quickly. That, or the game in general, just does not live up to the expectations that those players and people in the community set for that game. If you need a prime example of this actually happening, take a look at games like Multiverses or Nicktoons All-Stars Brawl 2, where a lot of people inside the platform finding community were hyping up those games to be the Smash Brothers killers, and look what happened. A lot of the Smash Brothers players and people that wanted those games to be better than Smash Brothers set their expectations way too high for those games, which were made by freaking smaller teams at the time, and those games pretty much just ended up dying off quickly because of it. At least inside the case for Nicktoons All-Stars Brawl 2, I understand that with Multiverses, that game pretty much died off because of pretty bad monetization, and also because the game devs in general didn't really know exactly how to keep the game alive. Another example of this pretty much happening inside the gaming scene would be with X-Defiant versus Call of Duty. Now, I remember back in the day when a lot of people were hyping up X-Defiant to be this quote-unquote COD killer, saying that it was going to kill Call of Duty simply because it has no skill-based matchmaking inside of it, while Call of Duty does. And don't get me wrong, it would have been an interesting little story if X-Defiant did actually end up beating COD that year, but unfortunately, when that game did come out, almost barely anyone played it. Everyone was still continuing to play both Call of Duty and Call of Duty Warzone after that game even released, and as far as I'm concerned, even the people who were hyping up the game to be this quote-unquote COD killer didn't even bother downloading the game either, and look what happened to it as a result. The game got shut down a couple of months ago, and hardly anyone even talks about it anymore. The only time people actually talked about that game was when they were comparing it to COD, but not because they actually even cared about the game to begin with. Like, seriously, you guys need to stop hyping up these games to be something or do something that is clearly not meant to do, or clearly is not trying to be. Like, it's pretty clear that when Sakurai was making Kirby Air Riders, he was clearly trying to make it as a labor of love for both the series and also the fan base. On top of him just in general wanting to make a pretty fun game for families to huddle up around and play together. Kind of like what he did with the Smash Brothers series, the Kirby series, and also the Kid Icarus series when he made Kid Icarus Uprising. He just wanted to make those games for fun, and to be fun. And he made those games specifically because it was fun for him making those games, at least when Nintendo's not breathing down his neck 24/7. So stop hyping up these games to be the killer of these other games. Like, yeah, sure, I don't mind a little bit of competition every now and then, especially between two competent games that are selling very well. But when it gets to this point where people are hyping up a game to where it has to be this killer of the other game, and it ends up coming out to not being that killer, you just end up setting up that game for failure. Seriously, like, you freaking do. It freaking ticks me off too when people actually do this and they don't even care about the game. Like, they don't even play the game on launch day. So it's like, what the heck are you doing? Why are you wasting your freaking life clock freaking hyping up this game to be more than what it is and setting it up for failure? Like, why do you have to do that? Like, logically, how can you explain to me why it is very necessary to do that? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's just very unnecessary to do. Like, there's sadly a lot of great games that have released that sadly have the momentum freaking eaten up by these idiots who keep talking with their freaking Baja Blast breath, hyping up the game to be more than it freaking is. And that's just what I do not want to happen to Kirby Air Riders when it releases, because it has been over 20 years, decades mind you, since the very first one released on the GameCube, so I know a lot of those Kirby fans were freaking starving for that sequel. So if that game comes out and then it just freaking dies immediately, or people are very critical of the game simply because they keep on comparing it to Crossworlds and shit, then that's gonna be a generational freaking crash out, man. Seriously, that's gonna be a generational crash out. Alrighty, but sorry, let's freaking go back to talking about Crossworlds now. I definitely do think that this game is still gonna last pretty long, honestly, even if Kirby Air Riders does come out. Like, I don't think that Kirby Air Riders is gonna definitely rob away a lot of his freaking player base, or at least get the game to the point where the game freaking dies, honestly. Like, I'm pretty sure Crossworlds has already lost a bit of its players already, but you probably wouldn't even believe me if I told you that, because this game just has a very strong, passionate community, and on top of that, it's a pretty good kart racer, all things considered, so I definitely do think that it will have a very long, lengthy lifespan, all the way to the end of its like 3-year course, which I'm assuming is pretty much how long we plan to support this game anyway. But anyway, I'm gonna just like end off my little discussion part here of this video, since I really talked on for like way longer than I thought I would need to, honestly. Like, I went way past the point that I planned to originally just talk for inside this episode, despite it being pretty short, so I'm just gonna save the rest of my discussion or any other type of topic. God dang, I can't even say topics correctly. Topics for the next episode if I do another one in the future, which I most likely will, since I'm having so much fun making this series. Alrighty, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you actually enjoyed it, please sure to leave a like and comment down below what I can do to actually make this series better so I can make it more entertaining for you guys. And of course, if you're enjoying my content so far and you actually want to stay updated on it, feel free to also subscribe to the channel and help me out on my journey to continue growing. But until then, see you guys in the future, and this is Mr. Boomer reminding you to stay fresh.